Can you hear me, Hope? Okay, good. We have Hector and Josh joining now.
Hi, Nalissa. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Alice.
Hey, we are now streaming live on Facebook. And I'm going to ask everyone to mute your audio. Thank you. All right. So the time is about 6:33. And good evening and welcome, everyone. My name is Elaine Bortheo, co-founder of the Hispanic Leaders Network. The Hispanic Leaders Network, also referred to as HLN, is a group of Hispanic leaders who are passionate and deeply vested in supporting current and future leaders. Our vision is to develop and empower current and future leaders to make a difference in our community. Our mission is to provide personal, cultural, and professional development opportunities to inspire Hispanic leaders to serve and make a positive impact. To ensure that our vision and our mission is successful, the HLN continues to host various events like this one to encourage, inspire, and support current and future leaders. The HLN was established in June 2018, and it functions as a committee under the umbrella of the Syntax Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. The HLN and the Chamber are nonpartisan. We encourage people to have a voice and vote, irrespective of what party or candidate they vote for. We also respect every individual's right to express their comments, opinions, and choice of candidates. A member or a non-member's individual preference of candidates does not represent the view of the HLN or the Chamber as a whole. I want to thank our advisory committee members for the time and commitment they have poured into the Hispanic Leaders Network since its beginning. They are Dr. Anthony Luevanos, Dr. Mito Diaz Espinosa, Dr. Ileana Newman, Mr. Joel Martinez, Mrs. Bridget Hines, Mrs. Ilda Sabido, Mr. Alfred Solano, Dr. Crystal Diaz Espinosa, and myself, Elaine Bortheo. If you would like to learn more about the Hispanic Leaders Network, please visit our website at www.hln-waco.org, or you can visit us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and a group, or you can follow us on Instagram. Now to begin. Early voting in McLennan County begins tomorrow, Tuesday, October 13th, and the Hispanic Leaders Network is honored to present Meet the Candidates. We are extremely excited to have had an overwhelming response from candidates interested in participating in tonight's event. With that in mind, we may go over the 8 p.m. timeframe. However, we will do our best to stay on track. So thank you everyone for your patience and your attendance. I will now turn it over to Dr. Ileana Newman to introduce our moderator for this evening. Dr. Newman.
Thank you so very much, Elaine, and welcome everybody. I am very pleased to introduce our guest moderator for this evening, Elisa Navarro, reporter and anchor with News 25. Elisa hails from the Golden State, California. She was raised in the heat of the Central Valley. She's fluent in English and Spanish and has always dreamed of being a journalist. She graduated from Fresno State University in 2018 with a bachelor's degree in media communications and a double emphasis in multimedia and broadcast. She also received a minor in Spanish. Elisa began her career in Bakersfield, California, where she was a reporter for 1 year and an integral part of the morning show, constantly covering breaking news and current events. In 2019, she made the journey from California here to Texas to join 25 News family as a multimedia journalist. In September, Elisa was promoted to Good Morning Texas weekend show as the anchor and producer. Her favorite part is helping Central Texans wake up and stay informed on the weekends with local engaging content. When she's not working, Elisa is adventuring in the community. She loves practicing yoga and eating at local restaurants when we're not in a pandemic. Elisa, shall we begin?
Yes, Dr. Newman, thank you for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And like you said, no yoga right now with the pandemic, but we're all doing this virtual and making everything work. And I want to thank you all for being here and for inviting me to be the moderator. And we are going to kick off now. Hispanic Leaders Network is proud to hold this candidate forum as we kick off early voting, which begins tomorrow. It's going to run all the way until October 30th. And it's a very exciting day. And I think today is the perfect day to kind of let people know what to expect from all of our local candidates. Now, Latinos are an integral and valuable part of Waco, McLennan County, and a great part of the Lone Star State. 1 in 3 eligible votes is Latino. We understand that in order for Texas to continue to be strong and prosperous, it is important that all voters make informed decisions about those who represent them and work on policies that affect everything from access to health, good schools, and thriving businesses. So please join me in thanking today's candidates for being willing to serve their fellow citizens. And thank you to all the community members who are joining us right now or who will join us a little bit later so that they can better inform themselves of their choices and our local candidates. Now, candidates, here are some ground rules that we're going to have for this. You will have 2 minutes to introduce yourselves, state the position you are running for, and state how, if elected, you will make a positive difference in our community. I will have a timer here with my phone. You guys will hear the alarm go off. So it'll be a 2-minute block for you guys to really just talk about what you want to say. When the timer goes off, you're going to be allowed to finish your final thought, your last sentence, and I'll let you know when your time is up. And of course, you guys will hear it. And the audience watching on Facebook Live and Zoom, you guys can type any questions that you have in our Zoom chat feature or live on our Facebook Live. We have 30 minutes total for the Q&A, and we're going to try and get through as many questions as we can. We're hoping to get through all of them, but we're not sure with the 30 minutes that we have. And now we're going to go to Mr. Alfred Solano, CEO of the Centex Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, to flip a coin to determine if the incumbents will go first or last within their running category. So it's your turn, Mr. Solano.
Thank you, Eliza. So this is heads and this is tails. And here we go. So it is heads.
All right, so if we have heads, incumbent goes first. And there we go. And then all other groups with without an incumbent will present by last name in alphabetical order. All right, are you guys ready? Yes? Okay. So for the beginning, we're going to start off with Waco ISD School Board candidates. We're going to start with District Area 3. And with that being said, since incumbents are going first, Jose Vidana, you are going to go first. Let me set my timer real quick. And then the second you start talking, I will begin my timer.
Hi, my name is Jose Vidana. I'm running for School Board District 3. I've been a parent of a Waco ISD child for over 20 years. I have 4 graduates, 2 still in school. I'm a mail carrier for the United States Postal Service. One of my biggest goals for Waco ISD is teacher retention. And one of my long-term goals is to bring a lot of families that live in our district back to Waco ISD schools. And also, all my kids have benefited from different programs in Waco ISD, from credit recovery, Atlas Academy. We've benefited from a lot of Waco ISD programs, and I like to keep improving that and moving it forward. Every student to have the same opportunity. Thank you.
Perfect. We still had a couple seconds left, but we will move on to the next person. I did put my phone, or I will be putting my Zoom on mute during your guys' 2 minutes, just so if any of my emails go off, you guys don't hear it. The next person is Hilda Sabido. So Hilda, as soon as you start talking, I will start the timer for you.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? I was just having some internet issues, but who's not these days, right? Make a grand entrance. So my name is Ilda Sabino. I'm from Waco, graduated from University High School. My husband as well, Hector Sabino. We have two beautiful children that are 5 and 2, and both are currently enrolled in Waco ISD programs and in school. And I am just so excited. Excited for me to serve the community that I grew up in. I believe I have a very good understanding of what the needs are. I have a lot of great relationships with the administration, the families, the community for a very long time. And I'm really excited to see what we can do to bring Waco ISD and District 3 into the new dimension of what it can be. But I'm actually running for Waco ISD Board of Trustees for District 3. And thank you, Elisa. Did I do good?
Yes, I'm sure you will all do an amazing job. Thank you. And
Good
next
time.
on, what was that? And next up, we're going to go on to District Area 6, and incumbent will go first. So Robin Houston, you've got 2 minutes, and whenever you start, I will start the timer.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much for the invitation tonight. My name is Robin Houston, and I am the trustee for Waco ISD Position 6, which is an at-large position. I've served on the WISD board for 16 months, starting in June of 2019. I'm a proud graduate of Waco High School, as is my husband, Roger, and my 3 brothers, and now my daughter, who graduated from Waco High in 2019. My son's currently an 8th grader at Tennyson Middle School. We moved back to Waco a little bit over a decade ago, and she was a 1st grader, and chose this district to live in and raise our family when we returned to Waco. During my time on the board, we have hired a new superintendent, raised teacher salaries, and put in place measures to retain teachers, and I believe that's critical for student success in all of our communities. My mother was a classroom teacher in WISD for over 20 years, and her experience and service are some of the reasons that I felt called to serve on the school board. Our board has invested in the last year with the new superintendent over $1.5 million in our efforts to improve literacy. We've adopted early literacy goals and approved funding for teacher training to deepen teacher knowledge and skills in reading and writing instruction. We've sent teachers to Texas Reading Academy this past summer. We sent all of our kindergarten and 3rd grade teachers, and we've implemented a new universal screener to identify students in need of intensive instruction. Nearly 20% of our district students are English language learners, and that means about 3,000 of our students who would need bilingual services or ESL services. We included all of our bilingual and ESL teachers in literacy initiatives, and to me, it's very important that we have a strong program to do those things. Waco ISD was able to roll out devices for all of our students before the start of the fall semester. I voted to approve extra money for IT because we needed to make sure that our students had the hardware to access remote instruction and the ability to get on the internet. With that in mind, we've also provided Wi-Fi hotspots and increased Wi-Fi services for all of our families. We have a great leadership team at Waco ISD and have accomplished a lot since I've joined the board, and I would appreciate your vote, and I'm very excited about serving this district, my district.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then we are going to go on to District Area 7. And again, we're going to start with the incumbent. So Carrie Dupuy, you will be going first. You got 2 minutes and you can start, and I will start the timer when you do.
Sorry, you caught me by surprise there. Okay, you don't want Keith to speak now just after Robin? It seemed we were letting the incumbent speak and then their opponent
Hillary
right
should
after
go
them.
next.
But if we're,
No, it's true. It's Keith Guillory should go next. We apologize.
okay, well, that's all right. Thank you.
Mhm.
So Elisa, Keith Guillory will be going next. If you can go ahead and get your timer.
Okay. I scrolled up on my paper and completely missed that, so I apologize. Keith Guillory, we have not forgotten you. I apologize for that. Go ahead and start.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Keith Guillory, and I'm running for the Waco Independent School District School Board place 6 position, at large position. And I've been involved in the district for 9 years. My wife and I, we have a literacy program that's been working over at Carver Middle School and also over at Bells Hills Elementary with Miss Edwards and also Miss Lennon over there. What I've been looking at in the district is a foundational issue that I really want to work on, and that's the 3rd grade reading scores, where we see 28% of our students that are reading at or above grade level, and we see close to 3/4 of our students that are being left behind and not represented in our district. So from that, what you see is later on in their educational careers, if you will, is they're going into middle school with the inability to read properly, and going into high school with the inability to read properly. And a lot of students are just really being left behind there. And so what I want to do is I want to come in and fix that foundational issue, which is literacy, that cause what we see, what people call conduct issues, or teacher retention, which you hear a lot about, or you hear talking about young kids' behavioral issues. And then what I want to do is just bring all those available resources. We have a $192 million budget. And I want to take that. I want to take those available resources and put them towards that foundational issue, which is literacy. So we can have some powerful readers and powerful students going into middle school and going into high school. We have a very top-heavy district where we see those 28% of students that are reading at an above grade level. They're going up into high school, and they're able to participate in those programs that we have up there. If it's you want to talk about the engineering programs and things like that.
You can finish your thought.
My name is Keith Gillard, running for Waco ISD School Board, place 6 position.
Okay, thank you. And again, I apologize for that quick skip, but thank you. Thank you, Keith. And now we will go on to District Area 7. Carrie Dupuy, incumbent. Now it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm Carrie Dupuy, running for Waco ISD Trustee Place 7. I am a lifelong Waco resident, graduate of J.H. Hines Elementary, Lake Erie Junior High, and Richfield High School. My wife and I have 3 children, all attended Waco Public Schools. My youngest is currently a senior at Waco High. My grandmother attended Waco Public Schools and then taught for 30 years at Waco High. And then my father also graduated from Waco Public Schools as well. Worth note, my 2 oldest are now in school, one at Texas A&M and one at Boston University. And they both consistently rave about their thankfulness for the experiences they had in K through 12 in Waco ISD. They wouldn't do it any other way if they had to do it over. And I am profoundly appreciative of those experiences that they had. I want to see to it that those kinds of experiences can continue to be available to other children in WISD. The proper functioning and delivery of educational services by Waco ISD is crucial to the well-being of our city. And it is very important to me that that task be carried out competently and capably. And we've hired a new superintendent whom I am now running in 2020 to support. She's very smart, she's hardworking, she's dedicated. First and foremost, she is absolutely committed to seeing to it that the teachers that are really doing the hard work in the classrooms get what they need and have the support they need to get their jobs done. I've been on the school board for 9 years now. In the last 3-4 years, depending on how you count, we've had 3 superintendents. What I feel the district really needs at this point is stability. And I'm sorry, was that my buzzer?
Yes, but go ahead and finish your thought.
I would like to be part of the provision of that stability in supporting our current superintendent, who I think is very deserving. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me go over. I apologize. Hope I had planned to cede some time to you and I failed.
Nope, you're perfectly fine. Thank you.
All right.
Now we will go to Hope Mustakim, Hope Alpha Mustakim. And whenever you're ready, I will start the timer, Hope.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Hope Alpha Mustakim, running for position 7. I am a social worker in the area. I'm the executive director of the Waco Immigrants Alliance. And I have 2 beautiful kids. They're age 4 and 6 that are in the district. So I always say we're going to be here for the long haul. So I think what I would bring to the board is the perspective of a macro social worker. So not only do I see the needs in the district, but I have a keen awareness of our assets. Over the past 10 years, plenty of my internships in undergrad and grad school have all been in Waco ISD, coincidentally. So I've got to meet so many of our community members, our community leaders, build a relationship with them over the past 10 years, learn about their strengths, their dreams, and how each one of these different components can contribute to our school district, such as mental health resources. I know countless mental health providers that would love to volunteer their time, even students that have to do 200+ hours of clinical supervision. There are resources in our community, and including dollars, but we also have human capital that we just need to tap into, get creative with, have the energy and the ideas, and just bring change, because while stability is so important, comes a time for change. Whenever we've seen 7 or 8 of our schools struggling. I've seen it since I've been here for 10 years. I've seen some of the same schools struggling for about 7 or 8 of those years. And so I'd love to bring fresh ideas, energy, innovation, and creativity, and just organize and get all of our assets together and make it happen for our kids. I don't believe our kids are hopeless. Our kids can learn. They want to learn, and their parents are fantastic, and they want to get plugged in. We need better ESL resources on campuses for those parents, and we need mental health resources on campus. And that way our kids can learn, and their family feels supported and welcome and safe on campus. And I just want to help foster those environments where teachers feel supported, admins feel supported, and parents feel welcome. And I'd appreciate if you vote for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Hope. And now we're going to move on to another category. We're going to go on to Waco City Council candidates. We're going to start with District 1, incumbent Andrea Bearfield. You can start, and I will start the timer when you do.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. We appreciate all the work that HLN has done in raising awareness and voice to this election. District 1 has been an oft overlooked heartbeat of this city, but not today. We are the gateway to education, commerce, and culture. And I'm honored to have been bringing truth, vision, and voice to District 1, but I need your vote to keep going. As a daughter of this city, we've done a lot, and I've known a lot and seen a lot of the pride and strength and assets that we have in District 1. And it is up to us to keep building and growing. And I intend to do just that in this upcoming term. You know, my priorities for our district are creating and empowering system-wide, equitable, and inclusive practices within the city of Waco that benefit our citizens. And we've been doing that. We've set up and made financial dedications in our budget to see equity and inclusion as a part of our mission and vision. We continue to build more pathways to education, finance, and workforce advancement for our communities. And we want to grow our communities without displacing the people within those communities. Those are the things that are important to me. I know those are the things that are important to you, and re-electing me I will do everything that I can to see those things through and continue to grow and foster the amazing strength and fortitude that this city and District 1 is known for. Again, Andrea Bearfield, vote for re-election, Waco City Council District 1.
Thank you, Andrea. And running against you is Randy Gober, but he will not be joining us. Therefore, we're going to move on to District 3, and we're going to start with Josh Borderud. So whenever you are ready, Josh, I will start the timer.
Yes, thank you so much. And thanks to HLN for having me and all the candidates here. My name is Josh Borderud, and I'm running for Waco City Council District 3. I'm the Director of Clinical Programs at Baylor Law School, where I mentor students serving veterans, first responders, and children with their legal needs. I'm not originally from Waco. I'm an Army brat, and I moved about 10 times before I was 18 across the United States and Germany. Came to Baylor, where I am now a triple alumni at Baylor University with 3 degrees. Was able to date and then later marry a beautiful and wise woman. Jennifer Borderood is the director of the Armstrong Browning Library. We have 2 very energetic children who have been spending a wonderful amount of time on screens in the last 7 months. I'm very proud of all their accomplishments. As the son of military veterans, I was very proud to have led the effort to create the Veterans Treatment Court in McLennan County a few years ago. I serve on numerous boards and commissions. I've chaired 4 Waco boards and commissions. I'm currently the chair of the Plan Commission, the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. I have chaired the Zoning Board of Adjustment and the Animal Welfare Advisory Board. I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Heart of Texas Region MHMR, Austin Avenue Neighborhood Associations Board, and the Waco McLennan County Bar Association. My wife and I care deeply about Waco's future. If elected, I will work to encourage economic development, manage our growth amid the pandemic, and support our local neighborhoods. I'd be honored to have your vote in this election. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Josh. And running against you is Robbie Robertson, but Aubrey will not be participating. So we're going to move on to District 4, where we have 3 runners. So we're going to start with Rick Allen, or I'm sorry, incumbent Darius Ewing. I didn't see that right there. Darius Ewing, we will start with you, and whenever you start, I will start the timer.
Hey everybody, I'm Darius Ewing. I was appointed to serve as the council rep for District 4 this past summer. Since coming on to council, my priorities have been equipping our citizens with well-paying job opportunities and connecting them with those on the back end and the training that they need, increasing and revitalizing our public transportation system, and then increasing access to and sheer amount of affordable housing in District 4 and Waco at large. What that looks like is jumping on the advisory board for Prosper Waco's Rapid Workforce Training Initiative that's going to take place throughout the city in different neighborhoods, bringing that training to people who need it most and then connecting them with those opportunities on the back end. Since I've been on council, we've allocated millions of federal dollars actually just recently to revamping our public transportation system. The biggest thing right now is that we're allowing for cashless transactions coming soon, which doesn't sound like much, but when you have to pay with exact change to get on a bus, it can be a hindrance. So further than that, we're going to continue to push for the rapid transit system that's going to cut the time it takes to traverse the city in half. And then working with our housing department to ensure that we're being proactive in seeking tax incentives, grants, and credits to incentivize developers to not only develop new affordable housing, but redevelop existing affordable housing that's fallen into disrepair. Because we have the means as a city to make sure that no one is ashamed of where they call home. And I don't think that is an impossibility that we need to keep kicking the can down the road on. So that's the what for why I'm running. The why is that I believe representation matters. And as the first person of color to represent District 4, it is incredibly important to have a voice at the table that has shared experience. Being a kid whose mom worked multiple jobs to make ends meet growing up, I think that there are so many people in this district that can share in that story and deserve to have their voice be heard at the table that makes the ordinances and the policy that governs their lives. So that's it. Darius Ewing, running for Waco City Council District 4. Thanks.
Thank you, Darius. And you were just a couple seconds off, so perfect. And now we're going to go on to Rick Allen. Rick, whenever you're ready, I will start the timer.
First of all, thanks to the Hispanic Leadership Network for having us. My name is Rick Allen. My wife and I raised our children in WISD. I've lived in District 4 for 37 years, so that's longer than some of y'all have been alive. I have served previously on City Council. And in the time I served on City Council, we did some amazing things. If you don't believe me, ask Alice Rodriguez. We started groundwork for a new fire department station over in East Waco. We bought the land for the police department headquarters. We redid the city convention center. We started the library reconstruction. We bought the property for the West Waco Library. We did work on the Fort Fisher. Did lots of great things, Cameron Park, lots of all the neighborhood parks. But I'm not running on the past, I'm running on the future. This position is going to only be for 6 months, and because of that 6-month time frame, you've got to have someone on City Council who's stepping in, who knows how to do City Council. You need to have someone who's had the experience, the training to deal with crises. We're in a crisis. We have unemployment and we have COVID-19 increasing in McLennan County. I have been trained to do both as an educator and doing social work. Altogether, I did 12 years of doing social work and 24 years of doing education. I have a background in education, both in regular education, special education, counseling, and I was the Dean of Students at Rappaport Academy when we first opened there. All I can say is we need someone on the council who will represent the citizens of District 4.
Thank you, Rick. And now we will go on to our last runner in District 4, Kelly Palmer, whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Palmer, and I am a licensed social worker and educator in town. I am so excited to be here today. I've spoken with many of you on the HLN team over the past couple of months, and I'm really honored because District 4, over 51% of our neighbors are Hispanic. And so I think that's something that we often don't talk about in Waco. Often we talk about race along black and brown or black and white lines, but not black and brown and white lines. And so throughout my campaign, I've really tried to meet my Hispanic neighbors where they're at. Everything that I've done campaign-wise, from my website to my yard signs to my door hangers, are all in English and Spanish, really trying to promote language equity, which we know is a huge issue in our schools and our nonprofits at the city level and business. So I've been talking to business owners on 25th Street corridor. I've been talking to Hispanic nonprofit leaders and church leaders and really trying to figure out how do we meet the needs of all of our neighbors. What I know as a social worker from living in this community is that folks experience our city so differently depending on where they live, what they look like, how much money they make, or what language they speak. And I want to really address equity at some of these systemic levels. COVID-19 is one of those issues where we see massive racial disparities. Our Black and brown neighbors are are exposed to COVID and have a higher positivity rate and a higher morbidity rate in a way that is drastic. We also need to look at racial disparities as it exists in housing, as it exists in economic development, and really looking to build Waco from the bottom up instead of from the top down. So those are my 3 priorities. I'd love to connect with y'all further. Feel free to reach out to me by email at kellyforwaco@gmail.com and join me to promote a more equitable and beautiful Waco.
Thank you, Kelly. You were also just a couple seconds off, so seems like there's a trend going on with you guys. So that was the 3 people running for District 4, and now we're going to move on to the category of running for mayor. So we're going to start with Dylan Meek, whenever you're ready.
Hey everyone, and thank you to the HLN. My name is Dylan Meek and I'm running for Waco Mayor. The greatest joys in my life are my faith, my wife Lindsay, and our 2 kids. I believe that with good leadership and strategy, Waco's greatest days are ahead. And it's for that reason that I've served on the Waco City Council for 5 years in boards like Inspiración and Unbound, which have given me the experience to run for mayor. I'm passionate about building and growing Waco's middle class and working to raise the median income with a focus on increasing opportunity for those who have traditionally been denied it, and with an equitable focus. I want to make sure that Waco strategically, proactively, and innovatively recruits exciting companies that pay good wages and grow Waco's middle class. We must have skilled workforce training programs so that people can learn to work the work skills needed for currently vacant jobs in our economy that pay well, and we must support small business and entrepreneurs in every way possible. In order to be sworn into District 4 3 different times, I had to listen, foster collaboration, and work in partnership to achieve greater outcomes. Building strong relationships with constituents is my passion. Whether the business owners on the 25th Street corridor or the residents of North Waco neighborhoods, I have a track record of building trust and have learned that listening relationships are critical to local government success. Additionally, serving on the Waco City Council for 5 years taught me a lot of practical information, including current social, economic, and infrastructure needs, how the city budgeting process works, how City Hall and the departments in it function, the agencies and stakeholders and their staffs that are readily available across all sectors for us to partner with, and planning models being implemented. I've learned the city's strengths and weaknesses firsthand. Learn more about my plans for other issues at dylanmeek.com or email me at dylan.meek.waco@gmail.com and vote Meek for mayor. Thanks.
Thank you. And then moving on, we are going to go to Dave Morrow. So Dave, whenever you're ready. Thank you. Is he on here? Is Dave on here?
I do not believe he's on.
Let's see him. Making sure. All righty. Well, with that being said, we'll move on to a different category. We'll go to precinct 1, and we will start with Alice Rodriguez. Whenever you're ready, I will start the timer for you. Do I have Alice on here as well? Or no? Okay, making sure. Let's see. She's
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because I don't see me. But anyway, thank you, HLN, for inviting me to participate in this process. And thankfully, I was able to do it. I think am I on now? Thank you again. I am Alice Rodriguez. I am running for McLennan County Commissioner, Precinct 1, and I'm running as a Democrat. I bring 24 years of being on the Waco City Council as experience to this position. Holding this position of 24 years, I have represented Waco nationally, internationally, local, and state levels. So I feel like my experience with all these different boards and commissions that I have served on representing Waco fully justifies that I am very well qualified to run for this position. I've always been a person who listens to the district, and I always listen to my constituents in District 2 as City Council. I want to be able to do the same thing Precinct 1, McLennan County. I want to be able to bring good jobs to our folks. I know personally how hard it is to make ends meet, so I want to be able to join with the rest of the county commissioners in bringing good jobs and talking up for my precinct. I'm not afraid to speak up if I feel that something is wrong, and I'm known very well that is a position that I have always taken. I always speak to what's right and am not afraid to voice that position. I know all about budgeting, serving 24 years on the Waco City Council. I have gotten all that experience and different experiences of working with different classes of folks, all the way from mayors, judges, commissioners, and also representing Waco as a visit to an invitation from President Barack Obama. He invited me twice to the White House to speak to it. So I have hundreds of positions that I feel like I'm very qualified to hold. And I want to represent Precinct 1 as a Democrat. So I ask you for your vote and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And now it is Jim Smith's turn. Jim, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm Jim Smith, candidate for McLennan County Commissioner Precinct 1. I'm a product of Waco Public Schools, having graduated from Waco Richfield High School, have a BA in History and Government, and taught both at the high school level, and have a master's in Educational Administration with mid-management and superintendency certification. I attended college on a baseball and academic scholarship. I played 4 years of college baseball and played 3 years of semi-pro baseball with the Waco Missions. I taught, coached, and was an administrator for 34 years in a public school district, with the last 13 years as a superintendent of schools. And for the past 17 years, I've been a compliance and business development officer at Educators Credit Union. I've been a reserve deputy sheriff with McLennan County for 39 years. I've chaired an economic development committee, and I've served as a member of an area economic development committee, and I was elected to 4 terms as a city council member. I'm a voting member of the Texas Sports Hall of Fame and a past board member of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. I've almost 20 years of experience in creating and managing a budget in which almost all of the revenue came from the taxpayer. I understand the need to be accountable to the taxpayers. I strongly believe in transparency and honesty in our government at any level. My main area of interest is in creating economic development and economic opportunities. Economic development brings economic opportunity for everyone. It helps to create good paying jobs so that people can support their families. Economic development helps to broaden the tax base and ease the burden of support for our county government, our city governments, and our schools, and ultimately on the tax-paying homeowners themselves. I'm Jim Smith, candidate for McLennan County Commissioner, Precinct 1.
Thank you, Jim. And now we will go on to a different category, Texas House of Representatives, District 56. We'll begin with Doc Anderson, the incumbent. Doc, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Alyssa. This is Charles Doc Anderson, and I'm running for District 56 House of Representatives. I want to say thank you to the Hispanic Leaders Network. This is a great opportunity, and I want to bring regrets from former Congressman Pete Sessions. He was unable to attend due to a previously scheduled event, but he also greatly supports the mission of HLN. What I'd like to say is this next session coming up, we'll be dealing with a number of bills and the things, the overarching principle, if you would, that we'll be working with, or principles, is one, sanctity of life, protecting the unborn, the Second Amendment rights, making sure that we have the right to bear arms, protecting religious liberty, stimulating economic opportunity, trying to reduce the tax burden, and supporting local police. This session is going to be a little different challenge, a lot of uncertainty with the pandemic. As a matter of fact, we don't know for sure if the session will be restrained somewhat, if the number of bills will be limited, or the lobby would be limited, or testing of members and interns. And so there's a lot of uncertainties there that we're not sure about. But the issues we'll be dealing with are budget and redistricting. The budget's going to be a huge challenge because we're 4.5 billion shortfall in supplemental budget, and also about 4.5 billion in Medicaid going forward over the interim. And so those are the issues that will make it a little difficult for money going forward in this session. The redistricting is a huge problem. We'll probably be delayed in getting the numbers, and so it'll be a special session to try and do the redistricting. My experience and seniority will be very helpful in that regard, dealing with redistricting, make sure we protect this district, congressional, educational, the judicial, all those lines will have to be redrawn during the redistricting process. And so it'll be interesting going forward. Again, it's Charles Doc Anderson. I would very much appreciate your vote, and thanks for the opportunity.
Perfect. And then going on to the opposite runner, Catherine Turner Pearson, whenever you're ready.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Catherine Turner Pearson, and I'm running for the Texas House of Representatives for District 56 against Charles Doc Anderson. A little bit about me. I am a native to McLennan County, third generation. I went to public school here, went to Baylor University, double alumni, went down the road to Texas A&M for graduate school, and I am a registered professional archaeologist. I own a small business, Central Texas Archaeological Resources, and I'm the senior scientist for Atkins Global. I've been married for 33 years to a wonderful man, Warren Pearson, and he works at the VA hospital. There's a lot of reasons why I'm running. First and foremost, I love this community. It's my home, and I love each and every one of you. But we have not gotten the representation we've needed. The things that my opponent just mentioned, he's not really doing anything about. He just kicks the can down the road every time. And during this time where he's been in there, he's a career politician. And he has been in the Texas House for over 1.5 decades. And during that time, he's had trouble with the IRS, the Texas Ethics Commission. Texas Monthly gave him 2 bump steer awards for doing absolutely nothing in the Texas House. And lately, the Bonin tapes prove that he is bought and paid for by the big PACs and lobbyists, and especially Empower Texans. And he will vote against your best interests if they tell him to. One of the recent things was the Hillcrest Hospital. He could have taken the old Hillcrest Hospital, and we should have had a mental health facility here in McLennan County for that, and he dropped the ball. He talks about his seniority, but he didn't use his seniority then. As we come out of this pandemic, we've got more problems than ever. We are going to need a strong, hardworking, and ethical person to represent us in the Texas House. I'm Catherine Turner Pearson. I need your vote to change things in Austin, because nothing will change in Austin if we don't change who's in Austin. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And to our last category, we have 2 runners. We're going to start with Rick Kennedy. Or actually, we only have you, Rick Kennedy. Pete Sessions was unable to attend. So, Rick, you are the last person to speak whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Elisa, and thank you to the HLN for hosting us tonight. My name is Rick Kennedy, and I'm the Democratic nominee for United States Congress in the 17th District. If you're not familiar with the 17th, it encompasses 8 counties in their entirety, McLennan County being one of them, and parts of 4 other counties, including Travis County, where I live. I moved to Central Texas almost 15 years ago because I thought it would be a great place to raise my kids, and we've been putting down roots here ever since. Now, it's hard to believe that my oldest is now in his sophomore year at Baylor, and my girls are in their junior and freshman year in Round Rock Public Schools. I decided to run for this seat 3 years ago, and again this cycle, because I saw that our country faces huge challenges and that our Congress was entirely dysfunctional and unable to meet those challenges. And there's no better example than our current moment. We're in the worst public health and economic crisis in living memory, and the House, the Senate, and the White House are deadlocked rather than acting to protect the lives and the livelihoods of the American people. When I'm elected, we're going to reverse that and put Congress back to work for us. We're going to make sure that we keep families affected by the pandemic whole by making sure they can keep their homes and feed their kids until we can fully and genuinely recover. We'll extend healthcare to every American by creating a public option to enroll in Medicare. And I'll fight for a living wage for those folks that the pandemic has revealed suddenly to be essential not only to our economy, but to our very existence. And we'll put people back to work with an infrastructure bill that focuses on renewable energy and giving our rural communities the 21st century infrastructure they need to attract 21st century jobs. Now, unfortunately, the Texas legislature drew us into a gerrymandered district designed specifically to elect a Republican, even one as ineffective and unethical as Pete Sessions. But we can beat that gerrymander if we all get out there and vote. Remember, the gerrymandering is based on voting patterns from 10 years ago. If we get out and we swarm the polls, we can send a message that we're sick and tired of having our representatives chosen for us by partisans and big donors. I hope I can count on your support on November 3rd and look forward to answering your questions tonight.
Thank you, Rick. All right, you were the last person to talk, and now it's time for some questions and answers. So questions have been coming in through Zoom and also through our Facebook Live. So we have a couple for you guys. And like we mentioned before, we might not be able to answer everyone's questions or let everyone answer everything, but we're going to do our best. You guys have up to 2 minutes to answer the question, and we are going to start. So let me just grab the first one. Here we go. The first one is from someone on Facebook, and this is directed to, let me get your name because I will forget it. Dylan Meek. So this question is for you, Dylan. It says, okay, what do you have planned for the homeless community? In addition, what is already being done? You have 2 minutes to answer on that.
Sure. Homelessness is a complex problem that requires complex solutions. And I think that we have really great community partners who can help us navigate this very difficult situation that's in our community. I think that when we look at the issue of homelessness, we have to take it with two different types of individuals. One, there's the family that their car breaks down, they can't make it to work, they lose their job, they can't make their rent, and suddenly they find themselves homeless. And for those families, what I would say is we've got to continue to work to upskill families to be able to earn more income, to have financial security. By increasing median incomes, we are less likely to find families in dire straits that fall into sudden and unexpected homeless situations. I think for other families who traditionally seem to find themselves in homelessness in a reoccurring way, I think we have to work with mental health providers as well as other community partners like Mission Waco and MHMR to ensure that through collaboration and strategic partnerships, we can determine solutions. The Waco Homeless Coalition has a working plan that has helped us see great strides and improve outcomes with regards to homelessness across our community. And I think by building consensus and working together with strategic partnerships like that, we'll continue to see this situation improved.
Dylan, thank you. Sorry, you were the first one we went at. But now we're going to ask this question that was also on Facebook. It's going to be directed to our school board candidates. So any of the school board candidates can speak up. And here is the question that they're asking. They say, we hear that different candidates will help with economic growth, but can the candidates elaborate on that? What's the plan? All too often, many job seekers who have made poor choices in the past are turned down by employers unwilling to be the stepping stone a person needs. So anyone who would like to speak up and talk about that question in the school board section.
I think I'm speaking for the school board group. Would you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes, and I'm reading it as it's coming in, so I'm trying.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was
a lot.
Listen closer this time.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was intended for the city council. Because it was
I asked the same thing right now.
Yeah, I think that was for the city.
As I read it, I asked. So yeah. All right. So do we want to open it up to the city? Yes, that would make sense. As I read it, I was like, correction, I'm reading it. So the question.
Maybe that's why I wanted you to read it again, but okay. We'll open it up to the field.
No, as I read it, I was like, okay, we're going to figure this out. All right, so this person said, we hear that different candidates will help with economic growth, but can the candidates elaborate on that? What's the plan? All too often, many job seekers who have made poor choices in the past are turned down by employers unwilling to be the stepping stone a person needs to re-enter the workforce. So helping with economic growth, thoughts on that?
I'd love to start off with this. As a social worker, we are a strengths-based profession, and we believe deeply in the inherent dignity worth of a person. One of the models that I see locally that really makes me excited is this idea of intentionally seeking out people that have a colorful past. So Summer Shine of Sunshine Recovery House and Luna Juice Bar and Unshakable Shakes, she has this sign in her businesses that say, you don't have to have a record, but it helps. And so I love this idea of we're intentionally seeking people out to give people a second chance. Another organization in town that's doing this is Jesus Said Love through their social enterprise. They are serving some of the most vulnerable folks in our community who are women that have exited the commercial sex industry. And we know that women experience poverty at higher rates than men. So this is the idea of the feminization of poverty. So I love that these are two local solutions that are looking at giving people a second chance. I think economic development, like Dylan said, this is a complex issue that requires complex solutions. So we do need workforce development. We do need jobs that are giving people second chances. We also need our local nonprofits and our churches and our businesses that are already employing Wacoans to pay people a living wage. I have a master's in social work. I have many friends that have masters in social services, and they're applying for jobs at $26,000, $28,000, $35,000 a year. So it's not just a lack of skills, it's a lack. Waco hasn't gotten to this place in 2020 where we're willing to pay people for where they're at. So we as a city need to figure out what we need to do to incentivize our local businesses that already exist to pay people a living wage.
I will follow that up. This is Darius Ewing. Yeah, I think Kelly did a great job of hitting on the existing sort of systems that we have in place between Jesus Said Love and Summershine, and really all of her enterprises that she's had in the last 5 to 6 years, starting with Luna Juice and seeking to employ people with a past. And you see the real fruit that comes out of those endeavors. People like Shamika Evans that own the Waffle Chick truck, coming from that background, going through the program and coming out on the other side and being a successful entrepreneur. But I think on top of that, it really does come down to looking at our workforce that's existing, realizing that before COVID, we had a record low unemployment rate, but we still had so many people living in financial insecurity. So how do we take those people that have jobs, that have a want to work, and upscale their skills to connect them with jobs that pay a living wage? And on top of that, Kelly, I like that you pointed out the aspect of specifically people with a record. I was talking to someone this week about the Rapid Workforce Training Initiative, and he mentioned specifically, hey, I've got cousins that are coming out of prison and on probation, and they have to get a job, but nobody wants to hire someone fresh out of prison. And so I think it really does come down to being intentional in those efforts, being intentional in vouching for these people when you go and connect them with employers, and making sure that you're doing everything that you can to give a voice to the people that made a mistake at some point in their life, but are ready to get back into the workforce, get back into being a contributing member of society. Yeah.
And I'll add to what Darius and Kelly said. No disagreements with either one of them. But here's 2 things council can do specifically. One, we need to do a better job as we incentivize businesses to come to Waco to make sure that they are hiring citizens of Waco, not just citizens of McLennan County, but citizens of Waco. And we can set standards of what pay they're going to get and what percent are going to be Waco citizens with businesses coming into the county, into the city. Secondly, I would like us to work more closely with the Homeless Coalition and those organizations that are working with housing, because you can't get a good job if you don't have a place that you can call home. And so we've got to make sure that people have a safe place to live and a place they can get their mail at and a place that they can put down on applications that when people are trying to get in touch with them, they'll be able to know where they live. And the city hasn't done a bang-up job on that yet. Brent Stroman did a great job while he was on the police chief in incentivizing the city to hire people who had freshly come out of prisons, and people with records can work for a lot of different positions, and the city can be more helpful in helping them find jobs within the city. Thanks.
For the sake of time, I'll be brief since a lot has been said, but let me go on record to say one of the things I'm most proud of in the 2 years that we've been on council is that we have changed the way we incentivize businesses that are seeking funding from the city of Waco to require that the base salary is $15 an hour. So we have done that, and we insist on a certain percentage being Waco natives that they employ. So that's a good thing that we've done. We also have our relationship that we have with the chambers of commerce to continue to encourage them to have their businesses that support the chambers encourage second chance hiring. Finally, one of the things that I think is that we have so many pathways here. The ability to make, sorry, they're going in and out of the house. The ability to have alternative education pathways STEM focused pathways for all of our anchor institutions that are here in that industry, and encourage those to hire those who are looking for a second chance. Those are ways that we can continue to grow our economic development, because it'll foster the people and strengthen Waco at its core. And I think that's the way we will get past and continue to grow.
Could I add something from the county perspective on that? Hello.
Absolutely, yes. Sorry, my thing wasn't unmuting.
Yeah, that's right. You know, economic development certainly goes beyond the city of Waco, and economic development is one of my particular interests. I think Waco's done a great job of attracting businesses, commercial interests, and so forth. And I think what's happened, if you look at the big picture, the economic development has also driven taxes, the homeowners, the value of homes, the valuations in the Waco, McLennan County area. And so what you see is a lot of the suburbs, and Precinct 1 takes in a lot of small communities. Yes, it takes in a portion of Waco also, but I think Waco has done a great job of taking care of that part of it. But what you're seeing in the suburbs are a lot of homeowners who are almost having to give up their homes because property values have gone sky high. And so I think what needs to happen is that development, they need to be proactive in attracting business, commercial interest that is compatible with their infrastructure, so that they can spread out that tax burden a little bit on the city governments at the suburban level, and also the school districts, the suburban school districts. So I think economic development has got to be something that's looked at as a whole. Thank you.
All righty. Anybody else want to, one more person? Anyone want to answer that last question? No?
Yes, Ms. Navarro.
Yes, I'm sorry. I want to add a little bit to what my opponent said. Thank you for that remark about Waco doing real good about bringing economic development. I was part of the city council that has done that. And I want to bring my experience to the county level and helping the smaller rural areas to come up with new industries and new businesses, and to help those people with and getting new businesses over there, because that'll help the communities that I'm talking about. So again, I would like to bring my experience of economic development, and thank you, Jim Smith, for that compliment of the city of Waco. I want to bring that experience to the board of county commissioners. Thank you.
Josh, go ahead. You wanted to talk, correct?
Sure thing. I would echo, I think Ms. Barefield's comments on that were particularly salient, and I would echo those. I saw in the chat there's also a question about Waco ISD, and I'll combine my answers to save you time and to save everybody time. But I think that the Greater Waco Advanced Manufacturing Academy, the Greater Waco Healthcare Academy draw on some of that workforce training. And those are, I think, very important programs. My district is basically half in Midway ISD and half in Waco ISD, and I'm proud to have the school board presidents from both on my advisory team, as well as several board trustees and past board trustees from both on my team. I believe education has a very key role in this, and I would look to foster and strengthen the bonds between the city of Waco and Waco ISD, as well as the city of Waco and Midway ISD. So thank you.
Yes, Alyssa, if I might.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the Guavma and Guana. Carried that legislation and passed that legislation. And it's a model that's being used in several different schools around the state, which is a great program. Those youngsters learn the soft skills. They learn how to get along with other employees. They learn how to deal with employers, and it's a paid internship, and they actually go right out into the businesses that they've worked on. So it's a very successful program. That and fostering TSDC, making sure TSDC is held harmless as they have their tremendous finance program that they have there. And if I might go back to where we're talking about recidivism and folks trying to get back into the workforce, the Waco PD actually has a task force now that they're working to visit with inmates before they're released, help them get into all the services that are available. and try and prevent recidivism. That kind of forward thinking is something we need to encourage and will be very prosperous for the entire city. Thank you.
I'd like to say a couple of words on that too. I know a lot about what it's like for people coming out of prison and trying to get a job in the workforce. I taught for Central Texas College at the Texas in the Gatesville Women's Prison for 3 years as a college professor there, and had lots of conversations with the students right before they got off. And my husband is actually the coordinator for the incarcerated veterans reentry program, and actually started the program for the Waco VA and nationwide. And one of the things we need to do is a statewide system that will help people as they come in and out of prison. So often we want to throw these people away. We say, we say we want to help people as they come out of prison, but so often we treat them one strike, you're out, nobody wants to hire you. And we need to start changing the mindset of people here so that employers will hire them. One of the things that I have been most excited about is there's an initiative to help archaeologists like myself hire veterans, and where we don't have to make them have a degree in archaeology to work in the field and in the labs if we will train them. But most particularly, we can work with incarcerated veterans as they come out in those fields. I would like to see that statewide in other fields where we can take them and train them on job and maybe forego making them have to have that particular degree. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And now we're going to ask a question for our school board candidates. Now it's a question for you guys. So it says here, someone on Facebook posted this. They said, for the school board candidates, what are your steps to get more teachers and staff that will actually want to make a difference in their students rather than see it as a 9 to 5 p.m. job? What are your steps to hire teachers that will be able to build a relationship with their students rather than be intimidated by them? Whoever would like to speak on that question.
Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Jose.
I think we need to hire students that graduate back to Waco ISD. They're going to be the teachers that want to build relationships with these students. I think also getting cultural awareness programs implemented would help the teachers who want to connect with students. I would also let the teachers that the teachers see part of our students' world. I think also leadership within the school needs to build this community amongst their teachers and staff. However, I think the duty of hiring teachers is a part of the board's responsibility, like more to HR.
Perfect. Anyone else from the school board want to talk?
Yeah, I would say that I think that our teachers, I don't think it's that, I do believe that our teachers do need more race equity training. I think they do need more cultural sensitivity, cultural responsiveness, and awareness. But I think that we have some really fantastic teachers who just have very large class sizes and who don't always feel supported, and their kids aren't being treated as holistic beings who have other needs such as vision, hearing, food, housing, everything else. So I'm not quite sure that it's that our teachers aren't high skilled enough, or that they don't want to get to know our children's lives, or that they're intimidated. I think that sometimes, like Keith said, there are other things such as reading and literacy that are causing maybe behavioral outbursts or things that they need to talk to a social worker about. And some of our campuses share social workers. And so there are things like fundamental things that we need to change that will help teachers want to stick around and not be stretched so thin. And I think paying attention to where we're allocating our resources and not making it to where the teachers have to do everything, but that we're handling part of that for them, because social work is not their job. Therapy is not their job. Taking them to the doctor, just seeing our kids as holistic beings in the system, the family system, the community system, and policy that affects their life. So I'm an advocate for teachers. So many of my close friends are teachers, and I know how much they love and care for their students and families. We just need to support them better.
I'm going to jump in next to anybody else's minds, but I would say that most of the teachers that we have in our district chose to be in our district. And so they want to do what they can do best for the kids. And sometimes they do probably need a little bit more cultural awareness, cultural training. But I'm also going to plug for them because right now they are having to teach classes both in person and online. And if you find me a teacher that's working a 9-to-5 job right now, I mean, yeah, find me that teacher. So things can always be improved. And I absolutely think that cultural sensitivity, cultural awareness is something that we definitely need to incorporate in our trainings. But I think our teachers are, really, really trying hard under very difficult circumstances right now.
I would also like to add to that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I would add to that absolutely teachers have so much going on, just keeping afloat every day. We turn between virtual learning and in-class learning. It's a balance that is almost impossible, but they're making it possible. And that's something I can't applaud anymore. Now, I do think that we could do better as far as the employment surroundings where they work, to improve salaries, to be that would make us more competitive when we're hiring teachers, but also to support them and make sure that they have the resources they need. Hope touched on allocating funds, making sure that we're using those resources and allocating those resources the best way that we can, so that they're not so strained. They're not having to do so much on their own, and really make sure that the community is encouraging them and knows that they know that they're supported by their community. When I've talked to teachers, the most important thing, what means the most to them, is when they know that they're being seen, that they know that they're not alone and they're understood. That we are aware of the pressures that are on them and how much they care about their kids. So I would just like to support them even more.
Yes, Alyssa, may I just comment on that? From a state level, last session, we put $2 billion into increasing teacher pay scale. That's number one. But also there was a couple subtle bills that are also very important. That is improving the teacher's work environment, where the teachers can protect themselves from harassment somewhat, and that they can have a say into when a discipline problem would be removed from the class and when they might come back. In addition, there's the mental health consortium that has been set up at the service district level that would allow these youngsters with serious problems to get some attention, which previously has been unavailable to them. All these type things work in the background to help provide a better working environment for teachers and a more efficient learning environment. And so we're encouraged to see how that comes along as we go forward.
Let's see. Is it my turn? Can I speak? A couple of things I guess I'd like to point out. In Waco ISD, we've got this probably goes for most school districts in Texas. You've got more or less infinite demands placed on a very finite set of resources. And although $165 million sounds like an awful lot of money, and it is, until you're spreading it over 2,000 employees and 14,000 kids, we're not really well to do with a lot of extra money laying around to spend on different projects and things. Now, Doc Anderson, if you want to send us some more money for specific things from the state level, that'd be great, but we really don't get to make those decisions here locally. We have to operate within our means. We give the teachers a raise pretty much every time we can. We just gave them another one, August, maybe July. I can't remember and we always make it as big as we can because we want to be competitive. Elaine, I think you used to work in HR, and you have a good feel for how difficult it is to get good teachers into, Waco ISD. And I'm so thankful for the ones that are willing to step up and take that job on, because make no mistake about it, it is tough. And there's not a line of people around the administration building there to apply for teaching jobs in Waco ISD. It's we have too much turnover. There's a lot of reasons for that. But I just would like for everybody to keep in mind, we have not got unlimited funds to use to address these problems. I am interested, Hope, in the idea of bringing a lot of volunteers in, although a lot of times organizing volunteers can be a task in itself that requires supervision. We can't just let anybody into our schools to work with kids. It's a highly regulated environment. And it sounds good, but well, we'll talk about that one. I'm not necessarily against it, but I've got a lot of questions that would have to be answered, I think, before I would decide that's really a good idea. We also already have social workers in our schools. Perhaps we're not utilizing them as effectively as we could or should.
I'd like to jump in there on that, because something that Doc Anderson had said a second ago, and something that you brought up, is the school funding, because you only have limited amounts of money. Our state legislature, the state constitution says the main point of the state legislature, their biggest mandate, is to fund our schools. When I was going to public school in McLennan County, they funded about 65%. The burden has now landed on our taxpayers with their property taxes that we earlier mentioned were going sky high across our county. Now, those two things are intertwined. I was on the Tax Appraisal Review Board with a judicial appointment for 5 years, and I know a lot about those. We're now down to around 30 to 35% funding from the state. The only way we're going to improve the property tax situation in McLennan County, and the only way we are going to be able to get more schools to our fundings to our school, is for the state to step up and use the funds that they have there more wisely and help fund our schools. And nothing will change until that happens.
All right.
Yes, very much appreciate opponents' comments there. Let me say that this last session, we put $5 billion into buying down school district property taxes, and so make that less. And I agree that we need to be closer to 50-50. It's kind of morphed over the years, that it has come down to where we were at 37% funding. And so we've improved that. We put quite a bit of money into the schools this time. Overall with education, probably close to about 80 billion for the state of Texas overall, from pre-K to higher education. So it's the largest part of the budget for the state. When it gets to, kind of like Carrie was saying, it's absolutely right. When that gets sliced down, it's not a whole lot of money. $2 billion sounds like a lot of money, but there's a lot of teachers in Texas. And so it makes it very, very difficult. So, but we have funded more money into the public education.
But you voted to lower it. You're one of the people that voted over and over and over again over the last 1.5 decades to lower it every time. And so you're responsible for the fact that it's gone down. And Texas is still one of the lowest states in the state. Absolutely true. You have voted to lower it over and over and over. You're the one that's been in office voting for that budget every time.
Absolutely not true.
True.
We are going to go on to another question so we can change the topic a little bit. This question is going to be for, it says here, this is a question that we have via Zoom. It's for Waco City Council candidates. Do you support, whoops, my alarm, sorry about that. Okay, the question is, do you support the relationship between Waco ISD, and if you have children, do they attend Waco ISD? Whoever would like to speak.
Let me hop on because I'm the lone of District 1. Of course, I don't know that we can do any of the things that we do without relationships with not only our ISDs, Waco ISD being core in this, but I also have parts of La Vega ISD within my district. So it's imperative that we have relationships with our school districts and as well as our institutes of higher education. I do have 2 sons. They both attend Waco ISD schools, and my husband works at Waco ISD. So yes, I think the relationship between City Council and and Waco ISD specifically, but our ISDs as a whole, is the only way we'll be able to grow and prosper our city as a whole.
All right, anyone else want to answer that?
Hey, this is.
I'd like to mention that I have a 7-year-old and 9-year-old. They're in 2nd and 4th grade at Hillcrest PDS and Waco ISD. Big Waco ISD supporter.
Perfect. Darius, you had something to say?
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, well, I don't have children, so I don't have any kids in Waco ISD, but I'm a public school product. My wife is a public school product, and I would imagine our kids would be as well going forward. But I would say that Councilwoman Barefield said it best. You know, you really can't have a functioning city, or at least a city that functions in a way that is productive and is on a path to growth without a relationship between the city and the schools there within. To help each other, to lean on each other, to share resources, to share insights. Recently, I began serving as the council's liaison on the Waco ISD City Intergovernmental Board. And just being able to be on those calls and see the passion that our school board has for wanting the best for our teachers and for our students. And then also from a city perspective, being able to lend insight and just hear and share in good things that are happening and share in the hard things that we're having to endure, because there's a lot of the same struggles from a city perspective and a school district perspective that we're dealing with right now with COVID, and also across the board with, you know, economically as well. So I think that you really can't have one without the other if you're wanting a city to exist in a way that is prosperous.
Thank you, Darius.
I'll jump in there. Absolutely, we need a strong working relationship between our city council and our board of trustees. I work for communities and schools, and we have site coordinators at dozens of campuses in Waco ISD and throughout the Central Texas region. I worked as a mentoring coordinator at one point and helped match caring adults in our community with kids in Waco ISD schools. I was on a call earlier today and was sharing that I jumped into a Zoom call with some 5th graders in Waco ISD and was asking what their ideas are for making our city a better place. They are residents and they are stakeholders in our community as much as their parents or their grandparents are. And so I think we really need strong relationships, open communication, because these massive systemic issues that we're seeing at the school level, we're absolutely seeing at the city level. And so we need solutions that are working collaboratively. Also, I don't have kids.
I'll say amen to what Kelly and Darius both said. As a former educator, 24 years, WISD, Midway ISD, and Rappaport Academy. Darius, that is so great that there's now a collaborative between WISD and the city. That didn't exist years ago. Good job, city.
I'll jump in really quickly. My kids are not of school age yet. They are 3 and 2. But what I love about this town is the size, because it really allows for good collaboration. You can know people personally and intimately in different organizations. And what I love about the people on this call and people in the different school boards and at the city is that it's good people that are really working hard together to make our community better. So I think that we all know that we go further when we collaborate. I agree with what's been said on this call already. I think the city has a great legacy, as mentioned, the existing intergovernmental partnership that has regularly scheduled meetings to talk about these things. But whether it's things that the city can directly partner with Waco ISD on, whether that's Parks and Rec or our community centers or our after-school programs that the city hosts, or indirect things like housing or healthcare or other matters related to financial insecurity that we all know are intertwined with the challenges that face our education systems. The boats were all boats rise with the tides, and so I think that having good collaboration is imperative, and look forward to continuing to have a great working relationship with all of our ISDs in the city of Waco, including Waco ISD.
Perfect. And I have another question. This one is from someone on Facebook, and it reads as follows. For Waco ISD board candidates, amidst the new COVID school procedures and precautions that have been implemented within the district this year, what are some things that you think the district did well, and what are some things that you guys believe the district needs to improve on in regards to the response?
I feel like the school district did a phenomenal job with the short amount of time, with the chaos that was going on, of getting everybody informed and getting everyone safe and starting the school year, and making sure all the students had the technology, the equipment they needed to be able to do school virtually. I mean, it's no easy task for anybody to do, but I think that the Waco ISD district has done the best that anybody could do. And so I applaud them. I'm very excited and happy that it was handled in that way. But now that, of course, when you move forward and you start to see, you start to actually do these things day in, day out, you start to see that, there's little things here and there that could be tweaked. And I definitely believe that the teachers could use a lot more training on this new world of virtual teaching and how to make it as effective as possible, and also use it to their advantage, because there's ways of using technology in a way that saves time. And it's also more entertaining for the kids. I've seen that with my own child and his teacher, and the relationship that they've had and been able to build, just spending time one-on-one or within a small group. And he's still able to connect socially with the teacher and know her. So there's still things to do, but I'm very proud of what our district has been able to accomplish in such a crazy time.
So I'll go next. My 4- and 6-year-old were both impacted, and I, as a director of a nonprofit, we had to move everything around and figure it out. And I also, like Ilda, applaud our teachers and admins that we saw them grind, and they were on the front lines every day, even putting their own lives at risk just to make sure our kids got what they needed. I think we can learn from this to be better prepared next time for any type of emergency or disaster, closing that technology gap. Seeing, we saw as the weeks went by. For example, I was at one of the campuses, and in one day, suddenly 300 laptops showed up that they didn't have before, and they didn't even know were coming before. So, and I wondered, I wonder if the other campus down the street is getting the same resources, or what. It just seemed like things were a little disorganized, and I would like for us to be better prepared in the future for the next time anything like this happens. But I loved and appreciated how one of our quickest responses was food, that we were keenly aware. It seemed like the district is very aware of how many students depend on the school for their meals. And so I was at some of the sites distributing food. I know some of the other candidates were too. And so I appreciate that awareness of the kids' other needs. And I think the teachers they're learning and growing along with us as parents and with our kids. And technology is a bit glitchy, but I've seen an improvement from the spring. And I would just hope that next time, if and when something like this happens, that we would start thinking about that ahead of time now, and just have a plan ready to roll out, so that it didn't take 6 months. But
Yeah, I would have enjoyed seeing our district a lot more prepared than what they were for any disaster. To be able to go remote, we saw school districts around the area they were able to go remote pretty much instantly. We have platforms around the city, like Premier High School, who they were able to go remote because that's what they do pretty much all day, every day is work online. And I would have liked to have seen a collaborative effort to work with somebody like a Premier High School, or even MCC, who has their Bright Space Forum, to have been prepared to be able to do something remotely online. That's but as far as our teachers and our principals and everyone, they stepped up on the front line, like I said before, with all the first responders across our nation, and they've done a phenomenal job. I've spoken to my child's teacher. I have 2 students in the district. I have one that's graduating this year, and she was able to get all of her work. I have one that's at the elementary school level. But one of the things I've seen was that this was a bit pieced together, and I know in some ways it had to be. Whereas we have work that's going out to our students that's not at their grade level. It's below or above or somewhere in between, and we really need a forum to be able to get that type of work out to our students and for them to be able to go in there and access their information. And, you know, like I said, our teachers did great. Our administrators did great. I talked to many principals around the district already, and I'm just really want them to be safe. I would have probably liked to have seen us keep our students and our teachers home a little bit longer to see how this was going to work out. And so what we're seeing right now, and the result of that is we're seeing spikes around the campuses of COVID-19. We've had to shut campuses down. I would have really liked to seen us kind of drag that out a little bit longer to see how the virus was going to do in our nation, in our city by alone. So that's what I would like to see.
Thank you, Keith. And our next question is going to be for Alice and Jim. So here's the question. How do you see the county commissioner's role in helping us recover from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic?
Okay.
Go ahead, Alice.
Can you hear me?
Alice, you can go ahead.
Thank you for that question. It's a question that we really need to think about. But I think working with our health districts, which I know the county commissioners already do, the health district and the city council work hand in hand on a lot of issues in our community. And I would like to see that further enlarged and make sure that we get enough information and treatments to the folks in the county that need it, especially, may I say, precinct 1.
I think really, as far as getting back on our feet, it's not going to happen overnight. I agree. We've got to continue to consult with the professionals, our medical professionals, countywide, to see where we need to be and what we need to be doing. But I think we need to look at any rules or regs that we have in place right now that we can tweak or that we can relax somewhat that would benefit our businesses as they try to reestablish themselves and get back on their feet. If there's anything at the county level that we can do to support them in that way that doesn't jeopardize the safety or health of our citizens. But we've got to reach out to those people. And I think we need to ask them, what do we need to do to help you to get back to where you need to be? So I think all of that's important. We need to have good minds and we need to have good ears. We need to be willing to listen to our local business owners.
Yes, Alyssa, might I say too that Jim is right on that, and we were very pleased today that the HHSC had mentioned that our area here, Region M, has been cleared of what was restricted last week with being over 15% for 7 days, and that has been improved, so that's a plus. And let me say that one of the things, talking about education and remote learning, one of the big issues is broadband and broadband expansion. We need to make sure that broadband is high speed, reliable, and affordable. And even in our area here, that is a real problem. We had legislation last session that passed. We're working on that on the interim. We're looking forward to establish a broadband plan and try and make sure that we can provide broadband so some of these youngsters don't get knocked off, just like today where some folks turn on the Zoom and get knocked off there. So we need to make sure we expand. That's a huge part of what Texas needs to do. And let me say with Dylan real quickly, he's absolutely right. A rising tide raises all boats. We really do work well, Region 12, with the superintendents and teachers, and our city, county, and state elected officials work real well. And when you travel around the state, you see that's unique. You don't see that everywhere. And our chambers of commerce, especially the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, really do work well. And so we have problems in our community, absolutely. But we have folks that are dedicated and capable. And I anticipate that we'll have good things coming forward. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
I wanted to say that this is, for once, you always think that the Republicans and the Democrats never agree on anything. For once, yes, we do agree on something. I agree with Doc Anderson on that one, that we do need to really improve high-speed internet. I know I work all over the state and I travel, and there's a lot of times I can't get high-speed internet, just internet at all where we are. But more importantly, we need to make sure that our students have, just being able to get internet doesn't mean they're going to be able to afford internet. So we need to make sure that our students are able to have the internet if it's available. But yep, for once we agree on something, Doc.
Great, we're working on it.
All righty, everyone. So we have one last question before we say goodbye. This went past the time we had allotted, which is good because that means the conversation was going. I was for sure intrigued, even though I had to look at questions. I was paying attention to y'all. But we have one more question for everybody, and we are going to go in order the way I introduced you guys. And the question is, let me find it. The questions are everywhere. Just a second. Okay, the question is, we are going to ask each of you to say something nice about your opponent. All right, so it's going to be a quick something nice about the people running against you and your kind of last quick goodbye. And that'll be it. So we're going to start from the top. Let me look at my list. We're going to start with Waco ISD School Board candidates, District Area 3, with Jose Vidana as the incumbent. Go ahead.
She's a great mother who is passionate about being a part of her children's life, including their education. Thank you.
Perfect. Hilda Sabito.
Equally, he seems like a great father, great family man, and he's got a beautiful wife and children. And I'm just really grateful to have such a great running mate, because in our district, we haven't had anything like this in the last 17 years. The last person who held his seat was ran unopposed for 17 years. So this is a victory already for our district. And I'm so excited. I'm so glad that there's two people that are trying to hash it out for this district. This goes to show that we care, and this district deserves to be represented well. And we're excited. Thank you, Jose, for a great run.
Thank you to both of you. And now District 6, Robin Houston, incumbent. Go ahead.
I think that Keith Guillory has a tremendous passion for his community and for the literacy programs he's promoting. And it's been a pleasure watching him run and kind of getting to know more about his philosophy. I mean, I think kind of the same thing. The more people we have engaged in this district, interested in serving the children of our district and our community, and our teachers and our staff, the better. And it's been a great opportunity to get to run against him.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot, Ms. Houston. We hadn't had a chance to really get to know each other at all before now. But from what I've seen from my opponent, she has a very close-knit family, and seems like she's a really great family person with her kids, and then also seeing her mom and dad and meeting them not too long ago in the community. So it's she's really it's a really good family person. Again, I would like to get to know her better after this, but that's what I've seen so far, and it's been a pleasure running against her. She's a great opponent, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And now District Area 7, Carrie Dupuy, go ahead.
Let's see. Did Hope there she is. All right, Hope's back. Hope Mustakim, we have not met yet. By all reports, you are a ball of energy. I sense your passion for your cause. Your heart is in the right place. You want absolutely what's best for the children of WISD, and I respect that. These races are better contested. I read somewhere that there's no greater patriotic duty than running for elected office, and I'm glad you're in this. We're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. We'll be friends, though.
Hope, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say I haven't had the chance to get to know Kerry at all, but just seeing the years that he has served on the board, and I know that he has children that have graduated and so and have gone on to be successful. So I applaud him for that. I'm learning how hard that is, parenting your kids through school. And then, yeah, thank you for your years of service. And we all know this is a volunteer position, and so you really have to care about the district and how our kids do to invest your time into it. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. And now going on with Waco City Council candidates. Now, although Randy Gober isn't here, Andrea Bearfield, what would you like to say since we are still recording this and live?
Sure. One of the things I've met Randy recently, and but I admire his passion for the community. He is owns several businesses, and I love the spirit of entrepreneurship. So anybody who is willing to step out on their own and start a business from the ground up gets a round of applause from me. One of the things about him speaks to one of the main reasons why civic engagement is so important. It's that once you find something that you want to see corrected, it's within your city, within your community, within schools, within state, whatever, it's your responsibility to do something about it, engage in the process. And that's how we all get better. None of these governmental entities are monoliths. They can't happen without the people. And I think that that's one of the things that's most important, is raising the voice of the people. Truth, vision, and voice is what I campaign and stand on, because it's your truth, it's your vision, it's your voice that is the reason things happen. The things that need to be changed get changed, and the way that we can all grow and prosper as a community. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for re-election. It has been my pleasure to serve. It is eye-opening to get involved in this, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. And I appreciate your vote come this election.
Andrea, thank you. And now we're going on to District 3. And Josh, like we said, with the last district, Aubrey is not here, but what would you like to say, Josh Bordered? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Robbie is a really nice guy. We both serve on a board together, and we're both former prosecutors. And in fact, when I was in private practice, we even worked out a plea deal together, and I found him very reasonable. And so it's been a pleasure to run alongside him, and an honor. And I think that we're both learning a lot. Probably all of us, especially on the nonpartisan side, being thrust into the November partisan elections with the big dogs and a very contentious presidential year. And it's been fun to have this experience. So, but yeah, Robbie's a great guy, and it's been a pleasure to run with him.
Thank you. And now District 4. So there's 3 of you. So whoever talks, make sure you say something nice about the other 2 running, and we'll do Darius first. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I actually recently started working with Kelly's husband, Matthew. And so I've had a chance to get to know a lot about who she is through that. And I can for sure say that she is incredibly passionate about seeing a Waco where everyone can thrive. And I think if you can't get passionate about that on this forum, you probably shouldn't be here. So that's something that's incredibly admirable. She is incredibly, well, both of my opponents are social workers by trade. And so I think that sort of tells you just the sort of the granular nature at which they view person-to-person relationships, and the weight that they put on those, and the importance that they put on interpersonal relationships. And I think that's something to be truly admired. And Rick is a case manager at Veterans One Stop. Every member of my immediate family, besides me, has served, both parents, step parents, and all of them have had to deal with re-implementing themselves into normal life after the fact. And so I cannot commend Rick enough for stepping in and being as much of a bridge as you can for helping our veterans as they come back and have a myriad of needs that need to be met, and seeking to meet those. So both of my opponents incredibly passionate about Waco and seeing the best for it. And both of them have a real, true, genuine care for people.
Thank you, Darius. And next up, Rick Allen. Go ahead. Rick still here?
This is for Kelly and for Darius. Because I've lived in District 4 for 37 years, there are a lot of Baylor grads who move on, who aren't willing, who aren't challenged, who aren't brave enough to put down their roots in Waco. I am admiring both of y'all for willing to put down your roots in District 4. Darius, I know where you live. Specifically, you're across the street from one of my good friends. And Kelly, I know what part of D4 you live in, and I know a lot of the people who go to church with you. And so I just know these are good people. And I just commend both of you for stepping up to the plate. When I was your age, I certainly didn't think of doing that.
Thank you, Rick. And now Kelly, go ahead, Kelly Palmer.
Just giving me all the feels, hearing everybody say nice things. Rick, I'll go with you first. As I've been talking to people, particularly in Singer Heights, it's just clear that you have been deeply invested in District 4 and in Singer Heights for a really long time and have shown up for town halls and showing up for your neighbors. So I appreciate that kind of long-standing investment and care for your neighbor and for our city. And Darius, you and I have a lot of shared values, I think, when it comes to issues that need to be addressed in Waco. And I really appreciate the way that you're looking at housing in our community, looking at how do we address this in creative ways with incentives. And so I appreciate the innovation and the ingenuity you've shared or you've showed in wanting to make sure that all of our residents have safe housing.
Thank you, Kelly. And now we're going to go on to Dylan Meek. Dylan, you are alone, but what would you like to say about Dave Morrow?
Dave is a really, really nice man who loves his community very much. And I've known Dave for a long time. And again, just think he couldn't be a nicer man. And yeah, just so thankful to have, you know, when you sign up to run in a race like this, you never know who your opponent might be. And it's such an honor to run against someone who loves their community and is so kind like Dave is.
Thank you. And going on to McLennan County Commissioner, Precinct 1, we're going to start with Alice Rodriguez. Go ahead.
Hi. I don't know Jim. I've never met Jim Smith, my opponent, and didn't even know what he looked like until tonight. So the nice thing that I can say about Mr. Smith is we both have a passion for the precinct, and I want to commend him. I've run a lot of campaigns, and I want to commend him on the way he's run his. That's one thing that I know good about Mr. Smith, but like I said, I don't know him except what he said about himself tonight, and I didn't know what he looked like. But I want to commend him on running a good, clean campaign, and I want to thank him for that. So, Jim, thank you for running a good campaign.
All right, Jim, your turn.
All right, thank you. I think in listening to Alice and what she said, it's very obvious that she's extremely knowledgeable on the subject matters. I think Alice truly has a servant's heart, and I just want to say, Alice, I wish you the very, very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you both. And now we're going to go to Texas House of Representatives District 56, and we will start with Doc Anderson. Doc, go ahead. Do we have Doc on here?
There we are. Let me say that I'm very appreciative of my opponent. She works hard. Most folks don't realize until they get into this how much time and energy and raising money and putting out signs and doing all that. And she seems to be right out there and competing, and I appreciate the opportunity to compete. She also is very blessed with her husband, Warren. He does a great job supporting the campaign. We see him around the campaign trail, as does my wife, Lynn, as we go around the campaign trail. So I very much appreciate the opportunity to compete.
Thank you. And Catherine Turner Pearson, go ahead.
Well, it's easy to get into the battle of running for office and forget that we all live in the same community and we all love and care about each other. My opponent has been a veterinarian. He was a veterinarian. I think he still is, but he had a business here for many, many years. And while I never had any pets that I took to him, he had a reputation for being a very good veterinarian and caring about animals. And I know he volunteers still with the Heart of Texas Rodeo, being their veterinarian there. So I think that's admirable that he still works for them, and he's had a small business and he's done a good job. And I think it's important that when, I'm glad they had the question, because I think it's time to remember that at the end of all this, we're all going to see each other. We're all going to be sitting down at the same banquet together, and we all have to get along. And win or lose, we're all in the same community, and we're all in this together. And so thank you for the question, and thank everybody here for running. And he's right, it's hard.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, you were the last person to speak. Both Rick Kennedy and Pete Sessions were not able to attend. So now we're gonna close. So alrighty, you guys gave me the chills with this last question, and just kind of taking a seat and saying, all right, this is, like you said, Catherine, this is a competition. So, but we're all human and we're all here. So that was amazing. And we just want to thank every candidate. We want to thank all of you for your participation. It's a Monday. I'm sure you guys have things to do and places to be at. So we want to thank you guys for being a part of this, this forum and being able to speak up about where you guys stand. And now we're going to turn the program over to Dr. Anthony Levinos, an HLN Advisory Committee member. He's going to give the closing remarks. Go ahead, Dr. Levinos.
Well, we want to take a moment and thank you, Eliza, for serving as our moderator this evening. Didn't she do a great job, y'all? Let's give her a virtual round of applause. And so just a few final words and information for our listening audience. First, as a reminder, early voting begins tomorrow, Tuesday, October 13th. You can find a list of voting locations on the McLennan County website. And the website, if you'd like to write it down now, is https://www.co.mclennan, that's MCLENNAN.Texas, TX.US/383/vote, VOTE -centers polling -locations. Second, also, this recorded event will be translated into Spanish and made available on or before October 15th. You will be able to find both the recorded English and Spanish versions on the HLN website and the HLN Facebook page and HLN Facebook group. As Elaine Botello mentioned earlier, to learn more about the Hispanic Leaders Network, or HLN, please visit us on our website at www.hln-waco.org, or visit us on our Facebook page, Facebook group, or follow us on Instagram. Our next scheduled virtual event will occur on Friday, November 6th, so please look out for that announcement. Well, folks, this is it for this evening. Thank you again for all participating candidates, the HLN Advisory Committee, and the Centex Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for making this event happen. I'm Anthony Levinos signing off. Have a great evening, and may God bless you.